I would buy books, take them out of the library, build up a huge library, and learn about everything that RCA was doing in those days. And then I would go make questions about, well, Ray, so take me through a day. Tell me when you saw his work, and tell me about this or that. It was all the reference through the books that I would research. So everybody, I started with the inventors, and I worked my way chronologically up through World War II. And so when I got to the early CBS people, I would read accounts of what was going on in CBS or talk to people first. And I'm still recovering. I think my brain has not recovered from working on that book. I mean, I really don't think I can work the way I did then. So for a typical chapter, I might see 20 or 30 people. And I would prepare for the interview, doing as much research as I can. I would do the interview, which meant sometimes flying out to California and begging a friend to stay on their couch. I would go out into California, maybe do 5 or 6, 7, 10 interviews in a week. I would go home, put the tape in, always TDK tapes that cost 99 cents a piece because that's all I could afford. And I would transcribe, and it would take me weeks to transcribe those interviews. And then I was listening to the interviews, and I'd realize how bad I was, my questions, how dumb I was, and all the things that I missed because I was talking too much. And I'd call them up, ask them if I could just fix the holes in the interview. And then I would have, I thought, a chapter, which would be 20 to 30 interviews in a chapter, and I'd have to memorize all the content of all those interviews, because I would start, I built the book as a conversation of all these people just sitting there talking to each other about CBS, Dumont at this time, or whatever it is, or the blacklist. Later on it went into subjects. And I'd have to memorize the content of every interview, so I knew that if somebody said this, I had to transition here, or somebody else. And I knew I had to know where to look. And thank goodness this was the early days of you know, a decent word processing program, because if I was just working on a typewriter, it would have been a mess. And I would have to, then I would pull from here and pull from there and pull from there. And then I'd get a chapter together that would be way too long. I would then cut it down. Then I would find, again, all the holes in my interviews, and I'd have to call people back up, interview them again if I needed to, transcribe those interviews again, memorize those interviews, and then put them back into the chapters. And then I'd be done with a chapter, and then I would do that, you know, for every chapter. So chapters would take months at a time, and I pretty much worked on one chapter at a time. And then, thank goodness I was done with that one, and then I would, you know, move on to the next one.